Hello, everybody, and welcome back to At Your Own Pace, the show for runners who are showing up however they can on whatever week life is handing them. I'm Mike, and whether you're chasing a Boston qualifier, your first 5K, or just the next mile, you're in the right place. Every Friday, we open up with a little real talk for my week on the run, then we sit down with someone whose story is going to leave you a little bit more fired up than when you press play. So lace up, settle in, and let's run this one together. I'm so excited to speak with my guest today, Kaitlin, who is not just a runner and a biker and a swimmer, but an Ironman finisher. She has completed multiple Ironmans and has one lined up for later this year. And her story of how her journey evolved from starting as a simple swimmer to completing such an incredible endurance event is very motivating and very inspiring. And the best part about it is she does it in such a humble way that you would think that it was just any other day. But her dedication to her craft and dedication towards growth and continued perseverance is something that I think we could all learn from. But before we get to today's guest, I want to start where we always start, which is a check-in. So here's what's been on my mind this week. I've been filled with a lot of gratitude over the last couple weeks or so, whether it's people checking in on me with some of the issues that I've been going through, seeing the progress that I've seen my coachees make over the last couple months. Those of you that have messaged me just words of encouragement, or those of you that say that I inspire you, it means so much to me, because never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would have a platform where I would have people who would, for some reason, listen to the random things that I say on the internet. And I do say some random things sometimes. So I've just been really grateful for the opportunities that I've had come my way over the past 2 years since I started posting content. And I'm really looking forward to where things are going in the future. I have a couple announcements lined up and I'm excited to share them with you. I just can't share them with you yet. And I want you all to know that no matter how many followers you have, no matter how fast you are, or what your finish time is for whatever race you run, whether it's a mile all the way up to 100 miles, and no matter how long you've been running for, I will always be in your corner. And I will always be here to support you and support your running journey so that you can become the best runner that you can be, both from a performance standpoint and from just an overall mental and psychological standpoint. I know that social media at times can be very demeaning and can really make the sport of running feel daunting, because so many people post these either outrageous times or they post these finish times that are just, they might seem just completely out of reach from what you're capable of at the moment. And it can really deter you from wanting to go out there and run. I've been one of those people. I have seen a number of individuals post about these just astronomical times that I wish that I could hit. And it makes me feel like, especially when I see it after I run my races, that I'm not good enough at what I do. And I need to remind myself that everyone's journey is unique to them. It's special to them because it's your journey and no one else's. And that we have so much more room for growth, that what we might think is impossible today could actually be achievable tomorrow. So I just wanted to quickly talk about, some of the overall gratitude that I've been feeling towards just threads and just towards all of the meaningful people that I've met over the last 2 years while starting to create content. And I'm especially grateful for this podcast and the people that I've been able to interview and speak with, because each person teaches me a little bit more about myself and inspires me to want to get out there and run when I just don't want to at all, because their stories are so powerful and there are so many things that I might take for granted that I shouldn't be taking for granted. So if you've been on this show, thank you. If you are interested in being on the show, shoot me a message or an email, mike@runsmarathons.com, and we can set something up. But I cannot thank all of you enough for how much you've changed my life in the last 2 years. It's been absolutely wild and something that I never expected. So I'll keep making content for you. I'll keep this podcast going, because if I can inspire one person to go out there and run, then I know I've done my job. So thank you again for listening. Thank you again for following me and for reading and watching the weird things that I make. And I cannot wait to continue doing that for you. But I want to take a moment before we jump into our actual interview to talk about today's sponsor, which is Shocks. Shocks is actually about to begin their Prime Day sale, which begins on the 23rd. So their headphones will be up to about 35% off. Now, this doesn't include the new Open Dots 2, but it does include their Open Dots 1 and a bunch of their other headphones. So if you have not purchased a pair of their headphones before and you are an endurance athlete, I highly recommend it. They are fantastic for maintaining transparency around you so you can stay safe while you're out there on the trail or on the road. And their sound quality is actually really great. So if you are looking to buy either your first pair of Shocks headphones or a new pair or an additional pair, definitely check out their website and use the code Microns Marathons. You can save an additional 5% on top of whatever discount they're having. So if the headphones are 35% off, they would be 40%. So definitely make sure to take advantage of that deal if you are looking for a pair of Shocks headphones. I cannot recommend them enough. But you know the drill. Grab some water, find your stride, and meet me in the conversation because today's guest is someone that I'm so excited to introduce you to. All right, my guest today is the kind of athlete who knows what is happening inside of her body before, during, and after workout for every single mile that she covers. And it's not by accident because Kaitlin is a triathlete and a physical therapist. She has spent her entire career studying how the human body moves, recovers, breaks down, and rebuilds. And then she takes everything that she knows into the pool, onto the bike, and out on the run. She trains for triathlons, she races, and she helps other athletes do the same. She is somebody I have wanted to have on this show because her perspective is very rare. Most of us learn about our bodies the hard way. That's through our injuries, through trial and error, and through advice that we got that either might be too late or it could be absolutely incorrect. Kaitlin lives at the intersection of science and the sport. So on top of that, she's also a real one. She shows up, she trains, she races, and she pours back into the community that built her. So I want to bring in Kaitlin. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
How are you doing?
Good.
I'm good. Are you training for anything right now?
I am. My biggest race this year is going to be the Ironman World Championships in October.
My goodness, that is
So
incredible. Are you doing any? I'm assuming that's taking up all of your time, right? Do you have anything in between then?
I do. I have a half Ironman in July that I'm training for too.
You are a beast. My goodness. Wow. I had a friend try recently to get me to sign up for an Ironman. I don't know if it was a full one or a half one. And I don't know. I don't know how to swim. I know how to swim, but I don't know how to swim correctly and properly. So I know that would definitely go very poorly. And I can bike, but I can't. It's funny. I'll spend like $250 on a pair of shoes, but I can't justify spending $1,000 on a bike. So I have to, maybe I'll do it one day. I don't know. A lot of people trying to get me in the triathlons because they've done them themselves. We'll see what happens.
Once you do
But
one, you'll be hooked.
see,
And
that's my fear.
yeah, yeah. Facebook Marketplace is a great place for a bike.
Okay.
Because people will sell they'll either upgrade triathlon bikes or they weren't the right size or something happened, and they'll sell like pretty nice time trial bikes on there for not super expensive.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. All right. Now that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Another company that I got my triathlon bike through is called A2. They're located in Portland, Oregon. And I've loved working with this company in general. Like I got in an accident last April and they're the reason why I was able to get a new bike through insurance because he wrote up all the stuff of why I needed certain things and what happened to my bike. And so the owner went through and did all of this and itemized everything that was on my bike that needed to be replaced. They're the reason why I have a new nice bike and significantly helped me through that process. And it's a local company and he is a triathlete and realized like how expensive bikes can get. So their whole goal is to try and get you a quality bike for not nearly as much as some of the
Okay.
other companies offer them for.
Now I'll have to check them out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I really love them.
Well, speaking of triathlon, it's not exactly a sport that you fall into casually, right? You got 3 different disciplines. You got a lot of gear you got to buy. You have a very, very serious time commitment because I train for marathons. I essentially just either have to go out and run for a long time or do strength training, sometimes cross training, but that's kind of it. You have to like focus your week on like running and then biking and then swimming and then finding a way to break that up throughout the week so that you still have a time to have a life and eat and work and everything. How did Kaitlin, the athlete, come to find this sport?
I've swam competitively since I was like 8 or 9 years old. And then I always beat all the boys in gym class when we ran the mile. So I just kind of kept running and doing cross country and then swimming when I was out of cross country or track season. And so a couple people told me, they're like, you should do a triathlon. Like you can swim and you can run pretty well. Like you should try biking. And that's kind of how it happened. I got a bike when I graduated high school, I got a road bike and I did my first triathlon like that summer. My friend freshman year introduced me to what an Ironman was, freshman year of high school. And showed me like the world championships race. And from a freshman in high school, I knew I wanted to do one. So I knew like during high school, it was going to be so crazy with like how I was switching sports and what was going on that I just didn't feel ready to like tackle it yet. So I waited till I graduated and did one and then started my triathlon journey.
So you started with swimming and then you went into running. It's really funny you say that you beat all the boys of the mile because I'm currently listening to Sarah Hall's new book. And she literally said the same exact thing. She was like, I beat all the girls. So then I decided, the coach was like, well, why don't you face the boys? And then I beat all the boys. And so that's so funny that the same thing is happening, that happened to you as well. How did getting into biking go? Was there an issue with that or did you kind of pick that up naturally?
I feel like it was more of a learning curve for like all the parts of a bike and all the like things that you can modify or change or need to fit to you on a bike was more of like the learning curve. I feel like it's the training is like very similar to what you would do for running or swimming. Like you're gonna make sure you have one of the like an interval workout, and then you're gonna have a longer, you're just like at a zone two, like you would for running. And then you might have another one where you're like doing some race pace intervals and within the bike. So it was like that formatting, like I was kind of familiar with because of swimming and running, but I just wasn't swimming and running. Like I feel like I'm so good at being uncomfortable and just sitting in it because I did it for so long. Like I know what it feels like when it hurts and just to keep going. And biking, I'm still not quite to that point yet. Like when it starts to get tough, I want to like back off a little bit and like spin really comfortably and like be pushing it, but not be uncomfortable. And I feel like I'm getting better at it, but I'm learning to like be uncomfortable and like just sit with it because I know I can do it for the other two. I was like, why can't I do this when I'm on a bike?
That is That is incredible. And it's I last October, yeah, I ran the Berlin Marathon at the end of September. The following weekend, I did a bike for MS across New Jersey. It was 105 miles or something. And I want to say it was dreadful because I didn't have bike shorts on. I completely forgot about them.
Ooh,
I woke up at like 5 a.m. and was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then finally woke up at 6:30 and was like, you know what, let's go. And I just put on regular shorts and I felt like everything by
yeah,
the time I finished was completely raw. So, I mean, for
yeah,
those who don't know, what is the distance between a triathlon, a half Ironman, and an Ironman for each of the different
sure.
sports?
So a sprint distance is typically like 15-ish miles, I would say. They can be shorter than that too. And then you have the Olympic distance, which is just under 25 miles.
And this is
And
for
then,
biking, right?
yes, for biking.
Okay.
So for a sprint triathlon, it can vary. That one varies like the most. Normally, it's like I would say like 3 to 800 yard swim, and then the bike is about 10 to 20 miles, like in that range. And then the run is always a 5K for a sprint. Then you have the Olympic distance, which is the swim is just under a mile, the bike is just under 25 miles, and then you have a 10K run. The half Ironman distance is a 1.2 mile swim, a 56-mile bike, and then a half marathon run. And then the full Ironman distance is a 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike, and then a marathon run.
Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine biking that many miles for a race and then needing to run a marathon after because I felt when I got off my bike when I did that 100-mile bike ride, I felt everything felt like jello and
Yeah.
I was like what is going on? The fact that you need to see that I think the thing that would get me the most would be the swimming
Hmm.
because I don't think people understand how exhausting the swimming part can be if you don't know how to swim properly because you're using so much more energy. Oh my
I
god, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think what scares people is the swim the most because most of the time it's in open water too. So you're not in a pool where you can follow a line and you stop, you can stop at the end of the pool. Like you're in open water. You can go really far off course. Most of the time they have people monitoring the course so you don't get too far. But you can go off course you're with tons of other people that are all trying to do the same thing. So sometimes like you hit each other, people get kicked, people will get
I was going to
pushed
ask about
down.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like and it's just because I think like people are trying to figure out where to go and there's so many other people around them that no one's like hopefully maliciously trying to do it, but everyone's trying to do like get the same goal of like get out of the water as fast as possible. And if someone's in front of you, it's like no one knows how to like navigate around somebody easily enough without, like you said, using a ton of energy. Like you're already tired, you're already trying to just make it through the swim and now you're adding in tons of bodies around you. Like it gets a little overwhelming and chaotic.
I've heard horror stories of people getting kicked in the face and everything
Yeah,
when the race starts for the swimming part, and then that you get like a concussion or you just like
right.
get knocked out of place. You don't know which way you're going.
Yeah,
My goodness. More power to all y'all for doing that because I feel like I would be the one who would get kicked in the face and then would just like end up going in the completely opposite direction of everyone else. And then that would be the end of it for me.
right.
But I want to go back to your first triathlon. So take me
Uh,
back there. What was the experience like? What did you know about yourself by the end of it, and that you did not know going in?
I knew nothing about triathlon. I thought I was so prepared and I was gonna crush it. And I was like, yeah, I know nothing. Wow. Like this is a whole another playing field. I'm trying to remember how far the bike was. I think it was either 20 or I think it was right around 20 miles. And I was like, oh, like I had been training for it. Like I knew I could ride 20 miles, but I was like, this is gonna be easy. This is gonna be so fast. And got out there and I like got halfway through and I was like, my God, this is taking so long. Like this shouldn't be this long. Like I should be going faster. I think I just kind of assumed that I was gonna be super fast on the bike, and that's not how it works at all. You gotta work for that a little bit.
How old were you, and where was the triathlon?
I was 18 and it was in Wapaka, Wisconsin. Just like this little town in Wisconsin near like my hometown. So,
Now, how did each part go? Like, start with the swimming and let's go through it piece by piece.
yeah, the swim was easy. I could see everyone else nervous like lining up. Also, I was not wearing a wetsuit and I was like, why does everyone else have wetsuits on? Like why do we need a wetsuit? The sprint distances, it's not as big of a deal, but the longer distances, it like helps with like buoyancy a ton and it helps you float. It makes it a lot easier. And kind of like a knee suit in swimming competitions, like when you see
Mhm,
those suits that go down to their knees, this
mhm.
wetsuit kind of gives you like the same effects in open water. So I was first off confused why everyone had a wetsuit on because the swim was so short. I was like, why is everyone wearing a wetsuit? Like, we don't need this. But the swim went fine. Like I felt like I had no problems with it. I was very comfortable. Like I said, I had swam competitively like up to this point, and I had done some open water competitions like as a swimmer. So I was not uncomfortable being in open water swimming because I had done it already. The bike, like I said, the bike is the part that I struggled with the most because I was just like expecting myself to just start flying on the bike and that's not what happened. And I just remember being like halfway done and I was like, I'm still not done with this bike. Like, what the heck? I'm supposed to be done right now. Like, I calculated that I was going to be faster than this. I was very disheartened by the bike. And I'm trying to remember if I had padded shorts. I believe I had padded shorts on. Um, but I was just like, my butt hurts. I just want to be done with this. Like, I'm really over this. I'm not going very fast. People are passing me. Like, I don't like this. And so then I got off of that and got to the run. And then I felt great because I was passing everyone else back.
Mm.
I did forget my running shoes that morning. Thankfully, I wore a pair of tennis shoes like to the race. So I just could keep them in my transition area.
My
But
goodness.
I forgot my running shoes the day of the race.
Oh my god. So they were just like regular like walking shoes?
They were Nikes of some sort. I don't know what iteration they were at this point, but they were Nike. So they were decent running shoes, but they weren't like my running shoes. And so I had a slight panic attack about it. But I was like, at this point, I can't do anything about it. Like I either don't run and I don't get to compete, or I use these and just do what I like, it's a 5K, like I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I did have a slight panic that morning because I forgot my running shoes, but I at least had a pair that I could put on
Hmm.
and
Now,
use.
how did you do? How did you feel at the end?
I mean, I felt good at the end because I was passing everybody during the run, so I was happy with that. I'm a very
Uh,
competitive person,
mhm.
so anytime that I can, like, feel like I'm making progress, like, that helps my mentality, I think. I think I won my age group. I don't know where I was, like, overall, but I know that I won my age group, so I was like, "Okay, that's
No.
kinda cool."
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how that went.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on that for your very first triathlon. That's great. Now, as a physical therapist, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure you go into the training for whether it's a triathlon, a half Ironman, an Ironman, what have you. You show up in a different way when you train. I'm assuming because you probably think differently about what you need to do and making and listening to your body. So, what do you think you do differently than the average triathlete because of what you know?
So I do work with a coach for like my training plans. So majority of my training plans is made by my coach. I think how this is kind of a sidebar answering the question. I think that that helps me put in harder workouts because when I was like making my own workouts and doing my own program and everything. I was like not I could tell like I was doing hard workouts, but it wasn't to the same extent of like having someone else write it in and like put it in for you. Like I could tell that I would like hold myself back a little bit or be like, I don't want to be too uncomfortable. I don't want this to be like too hard of a workout when I was writing my own programs. And I also think working with a coach just helped me increase my volume safely because I think increasing the volume, it makes a huge difference in competition for triathlon, like specifically. So I think that having a coach for like those things have really helped me. And then being a physical therapist, where it's really helped me is the strength training.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm very confident in that and I know what exercises to target and how to target them, how much weight I should be using, what form should look like, what all those things should look like, I think comes very easily to me because I have that. I spent my entire education on that. So I feel like that really helps like in that sense of being confident in the weight room and knowing what to do and like creating strength training programs to help me become a better athlete.
Yeah, yeah. My physical therapist is that's the number one thing he would focus on me with is the strength training, and he would push me to the point where I'd be like, I need to stop, please, for the love of God. So that actually makes a lot of sense, and I'm happy that that's able to help you. I've always wondered, like people who are physical therapists who are also endurance athletes, like how your knowledge helps you with like making sure that you don't get injured and knowing what to do so that you don't get injured.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, do you think as an endurance athlete, do you think that's helped make you a better physical therapist? Like, has the suffering that you've gone through with the trainings that you've had, has that taught you anything about the people who walk into your clinic?
So, yes and no, I will say. So I work in a hospital actually. So
Okay.
I see a completely different population than like a clinic would see per se. In the hospital, like the focus is like, can you get out of bed? Can you stand up? Can we walk 5 feet? Can we get you to the chair next to the bed? Like, what does that look like? How can we assist you with getting over there? Or like what's going on here? What do we need to do? Can to even get you just to do like the basic things,
Hmm.
which is like same but different to what I'm doing like during training. Like
Hmm.
I'm swimming, biking and running, but I'm also still doing a like trying like it's going to be uncomfortable when I'm doing them. And I can guarantee that every patient's room that I walk into is not happy to see me. Most of the time, they are not happy that I came in the doorway because they don't want to get up or it hurts to move or whatever, whatever it may be. So I'm not in like I'm not in a hospital and in discomfort from that point of view, but when I'm not at work, I'm putting myself through an uncomfortable workout and situation and how to handle that and how to deal with it being uncomfortable and painful. And so I can relate to that in a completely different like in a completely different way, which I think can also help me motivate patients to get up, to move, to do these things because it's like, I understand that this is uncomfortable and I understand this is not something you want to do because most of the time I'm doing that on a daily basis, just in a different format. And so I think if you can taking what I'm doing and putting that into something that my patients can understand creates like a connection between the two of us and an understanding between the two of us and the motivation to try and get them to do something and to move a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. No, I immediately like pictured those workouts that we don't want to do where we're kind of sitting there looking at our
Yeah.
shoes and being like, we have to take the first step to do this.
Right.
And I'm thinking
Right.
about those individuals that need to, I just need to take the first step of getting out of this bed and
Right.
seeing the connection between that because
Yeah.
I can tell you the amount of times that I have not wanted to work out and I just kind of stare at my workout clothes and then
Right.
finally I decide to do it. And yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm identifying with them. Yeah. My physical
Yeah.
therapist actually he works in a hospital, but then has kind of his own side
They have
clinic.
a
So
yeah. Most of the
yeah.
times, the like, we do have a hospital clinic, but it's just separate between, like we have a dedicated, like, in-hospital staff and a dedicated clinic staff
Okay.
because of how it's staffed and that kinda
Yeah.
thing, so, yeah,
Okay. No, that's awesome.
but
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest misconception that you see athletes make about their own bodies and the thing that you wish every triathlete and runner understood before they got hurt?
I would say that I feel like specifically in triathlon, especially with social media too, we see that the longer distances are like what everyone's posting about and what everyone wants to do
Hmm.
lot. And they're like completing one is insane in itself. But honestly, completing like any distance, any triathlon distance is a major accomplishment because the majority of our population will never do one. The majority of the population will not wake up and think that they even want to do one. So, like, I feel like it gets washed out. These short distances get washed out as like they're not as hard or not as competitive, which is so not true because the Olympic distance is shorter than a half Ironman, and that's what they race at the Olympics. And so you're going to tell me that those athletes aren't as amazing as the half and the full Ironman athletes? No, they are because it's just as hard. It's just hard in a different way. And I feel like people want to jump up to those long distances right away and just start on that right away, which is fine, but don't maybe realize how much training it truly takes to complete a half or a full Ironman or like how much those distances can humble you because I can tell you the first time I did both of them, I was humbled multiple times throughout the race and afterwards by it. And I just and people like it's fine if that's your first one, but I just don't think people realize how much you have to truly train to try and be ready for this distance. I don't know if you can ever be ready for that distance fully because it's just such an enormous race. But I
Hmm.
feel like that's the biggest thing is like, don't feel like you have to start with a half or a full Ironman. If that is your goal, like that is something to work towards. I think so. I did my first triathlon in 2015. I didn't do a full Ironman until 2017. I raced different distance triathlons for 2 years before I actually signed up and did a full Ironman because I wanted to feel really comfortable, like racing triathlons in general. I wanted to feel really comfortable in my transitions and I wanted to like build up slowly because life was happening. And so like I was in college when I did my first Ironman. So like there were other things that I was doing that I knew were going to have to kind of like juggle with training and with life. So it's so hard because we just see on social media like people posting all the time how like they have all the time in the world to train for this one race or train for this one event, but majority of the time like that's not actually what's going on behind the scenes. And that is so that I do try to post like or at least show like what it looks like when you have a full-time job and training like this and maybe like other things that fall to the wayside or other things that I know are getting put on the back burner because I chose to train this much and I chose to like focus on these things instead. That was kind
That
of a long answer to it,
no,
but
I think that is perfect. I think you hit the nail right on the head because this is the issue that I have with social media is like you have these people that just say, I did a full Ironman, I did a marathon, I did all of like I look at what I succeeded at
mhm,
and people say I want to do that and like I just saw today somebody post like how do you run a marathon with no training? They were, what do you do? And I responded with, you don't. Like you
Ugh,
need to
please
train.
don't do
Like,
that.
yeah, you can do it if you want, but you're going to be so miserable afterwards and potentially in the hospital.
Right.
And then there's I mean, the people that wanna do these types of massive endurance races, you are correct, they don't understand how much work goes into that because you're like, if you were to run, say, a half marathon or a marathon, you might train 5 or 6 days, maybe a week, 4 to 5 usually. With a full Ironman, you're probably training every single day, and you might be training twice a day or more because you have all of these different things you have to do during the race, and I think that a lot of people who are like, I want to sign up for this Ironman that's, you know, down the street from me. And they don't understand how much work goes into it. And I really like what you said about the Olympic triathlon and being like, you do understand that that is the Olympics and that's what they do. And that's just as difficult as doing the half and the full Ironman because of how much work goes into it, right? You don't have to start with those. And I tell people that all the time about running. You don't have to start with a marathon. You see all these people posting about marathons and you're like, wow, I want to do it. Start with a 5K, work
Mhm.
your way up because you need, I mean, you pointed out with your first triathlon, it humbled you a lot because of all these things that either went wrong or you just weren't prepared for and that you needed, that you learned.
Yeah.
If your first race is a half Ironman or a full Ironman and you've never done anything else before, I would be very cognizant and prepared for there to be some really bad mess ups during the race. So, oh my God, I'm just thinking about, I can't even imagine somebody just deciding that they wanted to do that. That's just like putting themselves through hell. Like in my opinion, you're just jumping into this massive thing and you don't know what you signed up for.
Yeah. And like I've seen people like we've also seen on social media people that do a half or a full for their first race and are just fine and have like no problems, but they also did spend like at least 6 months leading up to it like training for it. Like they took the time to build up the distances or like they had like a swim background or a run back like they had some sort of background already so you're not just starting from like zero and having nothing. And so I think that's the biggest thing is like you said, we see all these things about people finishing the longest distance and it's like, "Oh, I want to do that." And it's like that's fine, but like you have to build up to that. You can't just like jump in and expect that you're going to go run
Hmm.
10 miles the next day or whatever the distance may be because that's what some training plan online told you to do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the thing that gets me is it's like we can find all this information and it but it just might not be exactly what you should be doing or what you need.
I'm just picturing back to the beginning of my own running journey because I just set out to run for 20 minutes without stopping on a treadmill, and I think I got maybe a minute and a half of running at a very slow speed. I think the treadmill may have been like 4.5 miles per hour, and I was completely decimated, and I had to walk. And I think about the people that see all these individuals achieving these incredible things, like whether it's a sub 3 marathon or an Ironman or something marathon, like they're like, I want to go out and do that and I want to run and do what they're doing. So they go out and they're like, I have to run like a 6 or 7 minute mile. And they get 30 seconds in and like, I am completely winded. And then they say, I can't do this. So I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue that I have with all these people posting these kind of things, but not sharing as like you and I do, like the nitty gritty behind the scenes. Like this is what goes into getting this achievement because it's not like you wake up one day, like you said, and you say, I'm just going to go out and run 10 miles. I just trained somebody for the Paris Marathon. It was their first marathon, but they came from a swimming background. So they were able to, run a half marathon race for two of them last year, hit their goals, and then go and run their first marathon a couple months later with training. And that made sense because of their background in endurance
Mhm.
sports. But if you're coming from a couch and you're trying to go to a marathon, like that is going to take a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that.
Or I feel like even people who have run a couple races and then wanna try a triathlon are like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go sign up for a half." It's like, "Okay, you've at least got the running training down, but, like, you're doing that after swimming and biking." Like,
Hmm.
it's not the same as what you're gonna feel like when you run a half marathon. Like, it's gonna feel different, and you just have to be prepared and ready for that, and I feel like sometimes I just see people sign up for the half or the full distance and then not really understanding, like, you should you should have a good chunk of time before you just dive into a race like this. And
Hmm.
I personally, just because the Ironman distance, the half and the full Ironman distance, there's so many people participating and competing that it's very chaotic and overwhelming in transition at the start because there's so many people trying to do it. I always am like, try a local one first. Like try a sprint or an Olympic distance first, just so that you can like do the if your schedule allows for it, if it works in your schedule, because then you can like one, you'll probably get more space in transition. So you can set all your stuff out, figure out what you want or don't want in transition with you between each discipline. And you don't feel like you're crunched into your little space trying to get everything in and out. And there's not going to be as many people around you. So you can take your time with things and you just don't feel like you're in people's way the same way that you do when you're doing like the 70.3 or the full, because there's
Yeah.
just so many people that it's like could be very overwhelming sometimes in transition.
Yeah. I want to know the percentage of people, since you said there's so many people that start, I want to know what the percentage of people that actually finish are. I'm going to look that up after this because I can't imagine, especially if these people are signing up and they're like, I've never done this before, how many people drop out because of that.
I've looked it up before because someone else asked me that, and I was like, I don't know. I'm curious. I think there's the do not finish rate is about like 10 to 20%. It's
That's it?
not,
Wow.
yeah, it's not super high, which is a good thing. So hopefully that means people are learning, like, hey, come prepared for this. But
Hmm.
yeah, that I looked that up one time for someone else who had asked me that question.
Wow. Oh,
And
that's
it's
awesome.
I think
Wow.
it averages like 10 to 20% depending on the race and where it is and the conditions and like the weather and all that stuff.
Okay. Yeah. No,
Change.
wow. That's wild. I thought it would be a lot higher.
Yeah.
But speaking of being a triathlete, because how many triathlons have you done and half Ironmans and full Ironmans?
I've done 4 full Ironmans. I don't know how many halves at this point, like 7 or 8, I think. I have to, like, go back through my head and count them because I don't remember at this point. And then I've done a handful of, like, sprints and Olympic distances too. So,
That is incredible. Wow. I thought, people say like they freak out whenever I tell them that I run 17 marathons. I'm like, if I have people that I talk to who have done multiple full Ironmans, like, I'm not worthy. My hat is off to you because God damn, that is crazy. Woo. But since you've done so many, I know this is it. I probably know like half of the answer for this, but you probably know now every triathlete has like a favorite leg and then a leg that humbles them.
mhm.
Which is which for you and why?
Well, I can tell you the bike humbles me every time
I
because
thought.
I'm not a biker and I'm trying so hard to be, and my bike and my body are just revolting against me about it. It makes me very mad. We're working on it. It's getting better. It used to be a lot worse. And then you have to ask me that race if it was more swim or run because
Mm,
whichever one I do better at is the one that I like that day then.
okay, so it's back and forth depending on how it feels.
Yeah. I would
That
say
makes
most
sense.
of the time it's probably the run because if you put someone in front of me, like I will catch up to them. I will go
Mm,
get them. Like that's just my mentality when I'm running. It always has been since I did cross country, since I did track. Like that was always my mentality. And so I feel like I like the run for that purpose because it just like every time I would pass somebody, it just gives me that little bit of adrenaline boost of like, nice job, you did it. Okay, let's keep going type of mentality.
well, no, that makes sense, and I feel kind of the same way sometimes when I'm doing my marathons. I'll like identify with someone and be like, "That they're not going to beat me. They're not. I'm going to pass them at some point." Sometimes that doesn't happen. Now, on the flip side, and this is kind of one of the parts that like freaks me out the most about Ironmans and just triathlons in general, the transitions, right? They're
Mhm.
their own beast. What have you learned about yourself in those moments between those transitions and the disciplines that you do not get to learn anywhere else?
You can't panic. Do not panic because it will, especially like the swim to the bike transition, like trying to get on the bike is so hard. It shouldn't be this hard. Like trying to get on the bike efficiently, I should say, is so challenging. And it should not be this challenging to get on the bike. But that part always freaks me out just a little bit, even though I've done it how many times and I've even practiced it like during workouts. Like I will like set aside 10 to 15 minutes and go back and forth down the road, like getting on and off my bike, like trying to practice to like hit my pedals where I want to get my feet in the shoes and like keep going, like trying to do it smoothly. And like I'm like I said, it's a work in progress. It's getting better, but every time, like, I'm just like, oh, I can't nail this like exactly how I want to. And so you just have to be prepared, especially for that on a race when you got people around you, like for something to go wrong for that specifically. Like, I'm always just ready for it to not quite go out supposed to so that I can like recover and not get like mentally thrown off by it. I learned after my first Ironman to get like walk laces or like something that you don't have to tie because my hands were numb when I got off my bike after the Ironman because you're sitting in one spot for so long.
Uh,
And I was trying to tie my shoes in transition, and thankfully a volunteer saw me struggling and was like, "You want me to tie those for you?" And I was like, "Yes, please." Because like I was like fumbling. I was just like my hands would just stop doing it. And I was like, "No, I need you to tie this."
my
And
goodness.
so I learned to get the lock laces where you can just slide your foot in and then pull it and it's tight
Mm,
and you can just start running.
that's smart. That is very, very smart.
That and a baby powder for like the socks.
Mm,
Like, I don't wear any socks when I'm biking because they're so hard to get on when you're wet, and then they're wet the entire run, and so then they just get blisters because I used to wear socks when I would bike, and then my feet hurt on the run. And so I just put socks on for the run now so that I don't get blisters, but putting a little baby powder in them because you're sweaty and kind of wet still from the bike and the swim, you can just slip them on way easier then. But
that's good.
if I put it in my socks off the swim, then it would, like, get all cakey
Yeah,
because I'm wet.
that
So,
makes sense.
when I'm getting to the bike, or off the bike, I'm dry enough that it doesn't do that.
My goodness. See, this is like one of the things that worries me so much about wanting to sign up for one of these is I'm like, yeah, I could probably do the sport, but my transitions between them would be so terrible. That would probably take up the
Yeah.
most time for me.
And that's how it starts. You learn, like, how to get everything a little bit faster, where to put your stuff to, like, make it as efficient as possible because I have everything stacked in my transition area, like, in a specific way based on how I pick stuff up and grab stuff to transition faster. Like, don't put I put a couple of gels in my shoe because I'll grab them and stick them in my like tri suit before I go to run. But then I set my like bib and my sunglasses somewhere else so I can put my run shoes on first. So like you just learn, and everyone's a little bit different on where they put stuff and what they do, but you just learn like what works best for you and how to grab stuff quickly in transition. And yeah, my transitions were super slow starting out. They're probably still slow now, in all
Mhm.
honesty, but that's just something that you start to learn, like what works best for you and where to place things that won't get in people's way, but you can access them quickly.
Yeah.
And that's
No,
why I love the local ones to start with because they give you more space. There's not as many people. So you can sit there and dry your feet off in transition if you want to before the bike and no one's going to get in your way. But if you did that in Ironman, you probably have like 20 people trip over you because they're just so tight and there's so many people getting in and out.
goodness, wow. I mean, you just brought up another great point about why you should not just immediately jump into these massive sports and to work your way up. Now, we talked about this a little bit, and it kind of ties back to what we were saying about not jumping into these sports kind of without knowing what you're getting into. What does a hard training week actually look like for you? Like, walk me through what most people don't actually see.
Sure. So I am lucky that I only work 4 days a week. So I have 3 days off every week, which I think makes a huge difference for like the bigger workouts and like being able to get longer workouts in because I have a third day that I can utilize. I feel like if I did this and I worked all 5 days of the week, I would get so burnt out on Saturday and Sunday trying to do like my super long workouts then and recover from the work week and be ready to go back on Monday. Like, thankfully having that third day kind of gives me either like a chill day before I have to go back to work or the other 2 days I had off were a little bit less and then this one's a little bit harder. Like it kind of goes up and down a little bit. So that third day off makes a huge difference for like the volume that I can get in. Normally, so like I'll just start like normally on Monday I lead a run group every night, so I do that Monday nights. So most Monday mornings, I will get up and swim in the morning, and then I do my run group at night. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not every single day will be like a double workout, but at least one of them probably will be. One, maybe two of them. I like to give myself like Wednesday normally like a not a double day because by the time I get to that point in the week, I know that I'm gonna want one day to, like, not get up early, and then I can, like my brain can also process the amount of work that I'm doing, I feel like, a little bit better because it's not like a constant, like, rapid fire, like, I always have to be on for every single morning. And then Fridays, I do a workout in the morning because at night, I have to take care of, like, being an adult. So, I don't do a double on Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday, lead a run group on Saturday mornings. So Saturday mornings, I'm always doing a long run. And then the rest of the day, I'll spend either doing a bike or a swim. And then Sunday is typically like, I'll do like a bigger workout. So, like, I'll do a really long bike into a run. Something like a brick workout is what they're called when you do a bike to a run. So that's kind
That
of what it turns out like. It ends up being I probably work out about 15 to 20 hours a week.
My goodness. Anybody listening, just know that this is what your schedule would look like if you decide to jump into a full Ironman without doing anything else beforehand. Just remember that.
Now, what I will say too is my first and second full Ironman, I definitely was not at this training volume with my goals and like aspirations that I kind of came up with a couple years ago that I've been really trying to hit hard of like qualifying for the world championships and becoming a professional triathlete. I knew that this is how I was going to get there. I knew that I needed to commit this much time and work this hard for it, which meant that I knew other things were going to be sacrificed. Like I knew like if someone doesn't tell me a week in advance about a social event, like I'm probably not going because I will have a workout during that time. If I know like a week beforehand, I can adjust all my workouts, but it's become the priority. It's the first thing that I do in the morning and before going to bed, basically. It's the thing that I do when I'm off. Like I knew when I decided that this is what I wanted to go for and this is what I wanted to do, that other things were going to not be a priority and that this was going to be. People train with probably crazier lives than me and less time and do fulls and are like, we'll finish them with no problems. But I knew for what I wanted to do and the level I wanted to compete at, that this is what was going to have to happen.
Mhm.
So, yes, you probably will still have to make some sacrifices. Those weekends are going to be gone. You will be on your
Mhm.
bike. You will be on your bike all weekend. I can tell you that right now. But
Yep.
there's like I think I trained like 10 to 15 hours a week for my first two fulls, and which is still a long time, but
Yeah.
it's definitely not the same level of commitment that I'm at now.
That is crazy. I give you so much credit for all the training you do, especially, how it's built up over the years. That's crazy. And now with all the work that you do put in to your training, I'm pretty sure that there is a race in your head that you consider to be the hardest. And it's not necessarily the slowest, but the one that asks you the most mentally, physically, what have you. Is there a race that comes to mind when you think about the hardest race you've ever done?
It was either my first or second full Ironman. I would say my first just because I wasn't prepared. I was mentally like, I was like, oh, this is far, but I can do it. And
Mhm.
then I got into it and I was like, oh my God, this is far and this is really hard and I don't feel great. Like, I kind of want to stop.
Mm.
So I think in my second full Ironman, I was having some gut issues on the run. And so I think that's what made it one of the hardest races was because was like, I've done how many miles at this point? Like I'm so close to the finish. Like I just want to cross the line and get that stupid medal because I put so much time into this, like, and
Mhm.
so much work into it. And so those would probably be the hardest too, because it was just like, I feel like I fought the entire race to get to that finish line, like mentally and physically. And then by the time I got to my third and fourth, I felt like I was just more prepared for the distance. I knew what was going to happen. I knew like I had trained differently compared to my first and second ones. I knew more about nutrition. I knew more about how to like actually take the nutrition while I was in racing and in training and all of that. So I think that all made a huge difference by the time I got to my third one because there was 3 years between my second and my third.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. Now you pointed out during the first one, you were like, "I this is so much, I want to quit."
Yeah.
When you and I'm pretty sure you probably have had that multiple times during multiple different races that you've done. I have it happens usually at least once for me during every single marathon. During those moments, how have you handled like the wheels coming off and when you feel like you want to quit, what do you tell yourself? How do you get through it so that you do get to that finish line?
Yeah. Yeah, that first one, I was ready to cry, like, on the run course. I was ready to just stop and just cry and have someone tell me that it was okay if I didn't finish.
Mm.
I was just like, yeah, someone when I get to those moments, though, so what I think helped me through my first Ironman was they have an aid station every mile. So I was like, "Okay, you're gonna run to the aid station and then you can walk." So I, like, gave myself a reward for getting to the next aid station. And when and the other thing is I just start breaking it down by mile. Like, okay, let's get to the next mile. Okay, now we're going to get to the next one. Okay, where's the next mile marker? Like I just start looking for the mile markers instead of trying to like get my brain to wrap around that I'm going to do a whole marathon or I have a half marathon to go or 10 miles to go, whatever the number may be when my brain was ready to give up. I just started breaking it down to like, let's get to the next mile marker. Let's get to the next aid station. And like giving my brain like something physical to find, I think really helped. Like just keep going. And I stopped looking at my pace. I stopped looking at my watch. I was like, I don't care what pace I'm going. I just need to find the next mile marker or the next aid station. Like, this is about me getting to the finish line now. This isn't about like my time. This is like, you just have to cross the finish line at this point.
Mhm. No, that's smart. I do this. I actually do the same thing during my marathons. I will just focus on the mile that I'm in
Yeah.
instead of trying to think about, oh, I'm at mile one. I have 25 miles left to
Hmm.
go. It's just
Hmm.
like, let's
Or
look for
like,
that sign.
yeah,
Yeah.
my pace is off. Like, I have to go faster. Your body's not going to let you go faster. I can guarantee it because I have tried it. I tried it during both of those races, and my body immediately revolted against me and was like,
Hmm.
absolutely not. We're going to make this miserable or
Hmm.
even more miserable if you try to do this.
Oh yeah.
So, when I stopped worrying about that, then I feel like it almost took like relief, like a weight off your shoulders of like trying to hit a certain pace when you were in that deep in that zone. Like that weight just comes off a little bit and it's like, okay, I can breathe and just worry about trying to get to the finish line.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that is very smart, especially with such an incredibly amount long distances of being able to break it down bit by bit. Because you tell me over 100-mile bike ride, and that's all I think about. It's just like it's 100-mile bike ride, but
Yeah.
being able to break it down mile by mile, like I feel like that would kind of calm me down a little bit, but it would still freak me out. But yeah, I mean, endurance sports are a mind game just in general because
Oh,
you have
100%.
to figure out how to break it down because not when I say not many people, I mean the majority of people in the world will never run a marathon.
No.
Vast majority of the people in the world will never do a full Ironman. So like you have to find a way to break through those limits that you have in your head with these sports in order to be able to accomplish such a massive feat.
Yeah. I thought about one other thing too.
Yeah.
There's what the other thing too is I think back to all the time that I spent training. I think all the times that it hurt during training, and I was like, "You're gonna wimp out now." Like, we're on the run portion of this. We have less than 26 miles to go. Like, you've done how many miles, and now we're gonna wimp out about it? Like, now we're gonna give up? Like, are you serious? I like it's almost like a you owe it to yourself to get across that finish line safely. There's a
Yeah.
medical emergency, like please stop. Please do not do something where you're like physically in pain and it is getting worse.
Hmm.
But I just think about that too of like, how many hours have you dedicated to this? How many things have you missed? How many things have you said no to because you chose to do this instead? Like, you would be so disappointed if you stopped now just because it hurt a little bit and because you're just not happy with what you're doing or where you're at or whatever it may be. Like, my coach in high school for cross country always said, like, she had this quote from somebody of, I'd much rather be tired and happy than tired and miserable or tired and
Mm.
sad because I didn't accomplish like what I set out to, or I didn't even finish. And now I'm just upset at myself and I still am tired.
Yeah. No, that's actually a great quote. And I cannot tell you the amount of times that I'll be in the middle of a race and I'll just be like, we ran 600, 700, 800 miles to be here. If you could run that many miles in X amount of months, you can go another 13 miles. Like you're going to be fine. And obviously, medical emergency, yeah, definitely don't.
Yeah.
But so we talked about just like your hardest race. We talked about the moments where it just feels like everything's falling apart and how you get through it. Let's talk about something positive. What does crossing the finish line in this sport feel like compared to like any other moment like in your life?
I always have to say it's the second best because my wedding night is the first best moment of my life.
Good answer.
But it's up there. I mean, like, and Ironman 2 does it big. Like, they have a red carpet you run down, and it's lined with people cheering, and they have someone announcing your name and saying you're an Ironman, and, like, just, like, all of that on top of it, like, it gives me goosebumps as I'm thinking about it right now, and, like, putting myself back into, like, that experience because it's just, like, surreal. Like, every time I, like, try to prep in my brain, like, okay, this is what you're gonna do when you hit the red carpet. Do X, Y, and Z. Like, you'll have a really cool finisher photo. And then I get there and my mind goes blank. Like I just like I just like get like overwhelmed or like shocked or flabbergasted or whatever it is. And I just cross the finish line with my hands up every single time. And I'm like, you gotta do something else. Stop doing that. But
I love that.
like, I just can't. I like black out and space out until I cross the finish line because it's just like such a surreal experience every time that I do it.
That is, I see those videos all the time, people crossing the finish line for an Ironman, and I'll be perfectly honest, that's like the one reason I would wanna do it because it just looks so cool,
Yeah.
and it feels so much more intimate than a marathon because,
Yeah.
it's huge and you got all these people that are already crossing with you, but it feels like it tightens and you've got, like you said, the red carpet, there's people lined up cheering you, they
Yeah.
say your name, like,
Yeah.
that is so cool, and I can only imagine, like, the first time you crossed the finish line for your first Ironman and they said, "Kaitlin, you are an Iron Man."
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
I mean, like, you can't describe that like, you can't describe that feeling, like, I was ready to I thought I was going to cry, and I think I just stood after the finish line in shock, like, that I actually had gotten to that point and, like, actually finished. I think I just kinda stood there, like, in shock that that happened. Like I said, I always expect myself to do all these things or like something's gonna happen and then I cross it and I'm just like, "Oh my god, what?"
I
Every
mean
time, even though I know I can do it, like by the 3rd or 4th one, I knew I could do it and then I was trying to go for a specific time. I still get there and I'm like, "Oh my god, I did a full Ironman."
you altogether, you went almost, what, almost 150 miles.
Yeah, it's 140.6.
That's crazy. I mean, I would feel the same way. I'd be like, "What did I just do?" I mean, I feel like during these massive endurance sports, we just kinda black out in
Yeah,
general, and then
yeah,
we get to the finish line and we're like, "How did I get here?
yeah.
What what just happened?" I can't tell you during the amount of marathons that I've done where I'll just be running and I'll be like, "How am I at mile 20?
Yeah.
What have I been doing this entire
Right,
time?"
right.
It's crazy. Oh my god. I like, 1, I'm so proud of you for being able to do all of those Ironmans. That's just absolutely nuts, but in a good way. I feel like endurance athletes, we understand each other because of, like, the crazy things that we do. So, like, I'm very proud of you for being able to accomplish that and get to where from where you were with your initial triathlon to where you are now and then going to the world championships. Like, that's
Yeah.
that's just an insane trajectory. So I'm really proud of you for that. But you're at this like really unique intersection, right? You're an athlete, you're a clinician, you're an advocate for moving smarter, just like in general, listening to your body and doing the smart things. What do you want to do with that platform that you have?
I think the biggest thing is I just want other people to see like you can if I can do it, you can do it. Like where like my first Ironman. Now granted these are slightly different courses, but my first Ironman I finished in 13 hours and 54 minutes and my most recent Ironman I did in 9 hours and 57 minutes,
Oh my God.
which is like a
Wow.
4-hour difference.
Yeah. Jeez.
Like, if you had told me on my first Ironman that I would be doing this, I would have said, "There's no way. There's no way that I could do that. Like, I could go that time in an Ironman." Like I said, the courses are slightly different, so you have to like account for that. But and so I think like that's the biggest thing is like it took me years. This was years of training. This was years of dedication. My first Ironman was in 2017. My most recent was 2025. Like that is like an 8-year span of time that I spent on this. And so I think it just goes to show like if you're consistent, if you put the work in, like it will happen and it can happen. And like my favorite thing that I keep seeing circulate on social media right now is the why not you? Like Rachel Enderkin was saying that in that interview during from after Cocodona of like she just kept thinking like why not me during it. And so I love that of like why not you? Like you can do it. It's gonna take like you're gonna have to give up certain things. You're gonna have to know like what you're prioritizing, and you're gonna have to say no a couple of times, and you're gonna like it's gonna take some sacrifice, and it's not gonna be fun. You're gonna fail a couple of times before you get to where you want to be, but like you will see it, you will progress, but you have to be consistent. And so that's what I want to show other people is you can be consistent and you can get better. And like I was told so many times that I wasn't going to be able to do something, or that I shouldn't do something because I was a girl, or because I like this wasn't like the girly thing to do, or like in like I could go down this rabbit hole for forever, or like my body did not fit clothes the way that everyone else's bodies fit them when I was in high school and college, like because of being an athlete, because of how I was built, like like it didn't. I was so self-conscious about some of that because I chose like because I was an athlete and because I was doing those things instead, that those clothes like didn't fit me correctly. And it was I would turn to like baggy stuff a lot more, and I would turn to different things because it made me look like I was like, "Oh, I look like really like masculine in this almost. I don't know if I like that type of thing." And so I want to show other people that you can do both, and that it's okay to be both, and that we don't have to fit a certain box or check off certain things or do certain things at certain points in our life. You can have different goals than what you're told. And just because someone says that you can't do it because you're a girl does not mean you can't do it, or that you're good for a girl. Like, no, I'm good, period. Doesn't have to be for a girl. Like, I'm good, period.
I love that. I just had a daughter in January, so that's exactly what I'm gonna instill in her as she grows up is don't let anybody ever tell you anything like that. You go and
Yeah.
you go for whatever you want. Now, granted, I'm gonna tell her she's gonna have to run, but I'm gonna tell
That
her
has to be one of the sports.
exactly. I'm gonna tell her though, don't let anybody ever try to put you down
Right.
at all. I want
Yeah.
her to be like you, where she beats the boys and the girls, so that nobody messes with her, and they're like, okay, she's the real deal.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing a lot on social media too with like the skinny trending again. And like, I think I just also want to be like someone that's like, you do not have to look a certain way. You do not have to fit in certain box. Like I said, I definitely struggled with some of that growing up because of how I looked and because of what sports did to my body compared to what some other girls were saying that they looked like or that they fit into or sizing or whatever. And there's so many ways to be healthy other than being skinny. And so I think that's also what I wanna show is, like, I can be healthy, like, yes, I'm an endurance athlete and probably working out more than the average person because of what I'm doing, but I'm still healthy and I'm still fueling myself and I'm doing what I need to do so that I can work out that much.
Mhm,
And, like, I'm doing that in a safe and in a healthy way, and that is showing that that's possible and that you don't have to, like, try and cut certain things out or cut corners or not eat certain foods because that's gonna make you lose weight or whatever. The majority of time, I think people actually probably gain a little bit of weight while they're, like, training because they're gaining muscle.
mhm,
Muscle weighs more than fat. And so I feel like we're so focused on this number on a scale, and it's like there's so much more to you than this number on a scale and what that means. As a clinician, BMI is a very dumb interpretation of somebody's physique. And I
mhm.
am a clinician that sees it and uses it every day. So, like, it's just such a we focus on this number and it's just such an outdated way of looking at it. And there's so many ways to be healthy that do not look like a model and that like don't fit the box, the checks box of what a
Mhm.
woman should look like. And I just want to show people that too.
I love that. No, then
Sorry,
we
that's a
need
little
that.
bit of a rant.
No, we need that in especially in the endurance sports area because of everything that's been going on. I mean, I'm pretty sure you read about was it Emma Bates who got dropped by UCAN when she got pregnant?
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's you would think in the year of 2026 that we wouldn't have this issue anymore, but
I was
unfortunately
gonna
we
say, I
still do.
can't believe we still have this problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild, and I'm hoping that now that I feel like things are starting to open up and get a little bit more inclusive, we have more people fighting for it, so I'm hoping that things start to shift. in that area. Now, if somebody is curious about wanting to get into a triathlon, has no idea where to start, what kind of advice would you give that person?
I would say try and find like a local triathlon club because most of the times those clubs will set times to meet throughout the week. They might have like a small membership fee, but it's not normally like super expensive. But they'll meet throughout the week and do swim and bike and run workouts together. Normally, it's led by someone who coaches triathletes. So, like, you could then an individual coach if you wanted to. You don't need an individual coach to like do a triathlon by any means. But you like this way you're meeting other people who are also doing triathlons, who are also in the sport. So you're creating like bonds and friendships and people who are going through it with you and training with you. And that's like the most important is that you have a community and you're not just doing this by yourself because it gets lonely and it gets really hard to keep pushing it when you're doing everything by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Now, like, some workouts are going to be like that is part of it, but if you can find a group where you can go a couple times a week and get to meet people and learn more about the sport, like that's what's important because they'll be able to teach you so many different things that you didn't know and might just feel a little more prepared for your first one that.
no, that makes complete sense, especially since you're pointing out just like how much you exercise. I mean, for an Ironman, I mean, I know probably for a triathlon, it's gonna be less,
Right.
but it's still a lot in general for what you're doing. So, I mean, yeah, it really sucks in general sometimes that endurance sports can be very lonely, especially if you don't have a club. Like, I'm not part of a club,
Mhm.
so I run solo, and it can get really, lonely at times because I don't sometimes I run with people, but most of the time I don't, and so it also can get a little scary if especially if you're running by yourself. Like, I used to go trail running by myself in the middle of the woods in Delaware, and it was scary at
Yeah.
times. So, I mean, I think that that's probably the best piece of advice. Plus, I mean, you probably pointed out as well, you get to gain all this knowledge from people that already have experience so that you can be ready for when you decide to jump into it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you can ask the question, or if like people start talking about something that you don't know about, like you can ask, like, well, what is it? What does it do? Because there's so many gadgets in triathlon too that can help like people cut time. Some are worth it, some might not be worth it. So there's just so many like different, like nuanced things that can, especially on the bike. You can upgrade so many things on your bike other than like the bike itself. And like I still don't know half of them. I still don't know the half of it. Like there's so many things on a bike that you can change and you can modify to make it your own. And like it's so nice to have like I don't necessarily have a local group, but a local like bike shop who does know about all these things. So then they can kind of guide me to like, here's what might be worth it. Here's probably not what's worth it. So like even just utilizing like the local shops because they're always more than willing to answer questions because they don't want you to go out there and like have a problem and then you can't get back home or you have to get an Uber or whatever it may be. They want you to be prepared. They want to try and help you be prepared for whatever you're going to go.
That makes complete sense. No, I agree with you on that. Now, this next section is what I like to call the hot seat, brought to you by
Mhm.
Shocks. If you use the code Mike Runs Marathons, you'll be able to save a little bit on your order. So make sure you go check them out. My favorite pair of headphones by far when it comes to endurance sports. But these questions are just quick rapid fire questions that I ask everybody just to gauge kind of your favorite things and just to have a little bit of fun. So my first question is trail or road for your running?
Trail or sorry, road. I think trail's cool, but the majority of what I do is road.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
get
that's what I
annoyed
was
when I have to go slower on trail.
oh my god, I have to go so much slower because I always fall. I trip so much.
I'm just not
Now,
trained for it.
yeah, I've done a couple trail races and they've just been like it's like almost twice as long as my marathon for
Yeah.
like half
Yeah.
of the distance of a marathon.
Yeah.
So, maybe one day I'll get faster and do better, but until then, I'm just gonna keep tripping over my feet.
Mhm.
Now, what is your favorite running shoe brand right now?
I love Asics. I
Mm,
have for like the last like 5, 10, sorry, 5 years. Yeah.
I love Asics too. Yeah, they're my favorite pair of shoes. Are you an early alarm or late run? I know you have like a different schedule, but if you had to pick one, what would you prefer?
Probably late. I'm trying to be an early person, but it's not working.
It's so difficult. I just started doing
Hard.
it
I just
for the
wanna
first time.
sleep.
Same. I just started last week and I'm like, it works so well because now I can spend time with my family instead of having to go exercise. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to wake up so early and
Yeah.
but then, like, the benefits outweigh the negatives, but also, as you pointed out, I just wanna sleep.
But I
I'm
have
so
to get out of the bed that's warm.
I know,
It's
and then I have
normally
to,
my
like
excuse.
I know, and then especially during the winter when it's dark already.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's even worse.
Now for your long runs, do you prefer them solo or with others?
Ooh, I think it depends. I feel like I like the majority of them with other people because it's just more enjoyable. But if I have like specific workouts, sometimes like I'll have workouts within my long runs. So then I like doing those by myself because I feel like I have to run certain paces and I don't want to throw off what other people are doing if I'm trying to do something else.
That makes sense. That makes sense. What is your favorite post Ironman meal?
I don't know because every Ironman I've done, my stomach doesn't feel good after, so I don't want anything.
Oh, I feel that with my marathons. I used to get awful stomach pain and wouldn't be able to
I
eat
would
a single
s
thing.
I would say well, after this last one, after Arizona, I had butter noodles, and they tasted so good. They
I
were the
mean, that
best
sounds
butter noodles
wonderful.
I'd ever had.
All right, so we're gonna go with butter noodles. Now, on your easy runs, do you prefer music, podcast, or silence? I know that Ironman doesn't allow headphones, right?
Yeah.
That's
Normally,
another
I don't normally silence, yeah, I don't run with anything normally,
I just
because I can't race with it, and I forget my headphones here, so I'm like, "Okay, we're doing it without it."
that's wild. I need my headphones. I need something, whether it's a podcast or if I'm running fast, I need my music with the high cadence because I can't be I can't imagine like going out and running 20 miles and being alone with my thoughts. Like I feel like I would go absolutely insane. Oh my God. Now I'm going to talk about specifically running for this, but what is the one piece of gear that you can't live without and you can't say your shoes?
My little hand water bottle.
Mm.
I always have one of those for my long runs, and during my races, I carry it and put some, like, carbs and electrolytes in it, and it has made a world of difference for, like, running, I feel like.
Now, what carbs do you put in the bottle? I've always a couple
Yeah.
people I know do this, and I can't figure out what it is specifically.
Yeah, I put a brand in called Hummingbird Fuel, and it's really carb dense, so it's like 60 grams of carbs in a quarter cup, which is like 1 serving, and so you mix that into, like, about 16 to 20 ounces of water, and so my little handheld water bottle is 16 ounces, and it's, like, shaped so that it fits your hand really nicely, and so I just sip on that throughout a run or a marathon or a race,
Okay. No, that's good. That's good to know. Now, I know
so
you're doing the
yeah.
championships later this year, but do you have, and I'm pretty sure that's probably what the answer to this question is, but do you have a dream race?
Yeah, that's my dream race.
It is your dream race?
Yeah,
Now, is this
that
the one that's is it in Kona or is this the one that's
y yeah, it's in Kona, yeah, yeah,
crazy? Oh my
this is
goodness.
the dream race.
Okay. So I'm going to have to watch it when it happens because I
I
want to
think
watch it.
they do film it, but I think they just mostly focus on the pros. You might see me
Ridiculous.
in the background. I was in the background of one of the pros for a little while on the run, and so I was behind them waving.
Okay. Well, hey, at least you got in at some point. Now, if you could realistically, if you could do this race with anyone, who would you pick?
There's okay, so I would pick there's 2 triathletes, Lucy Charles Barkley and Taylor Knibb have both run this race as a pro, and so to be able to, like, do it with them and, like, we could do it together per se, like, that would be really cool
Okay.
to run with them. The other person I would say is my dad,
Mm.
because my dad has also done a full Ironman. He was gonna do there's one in Madison, Wisconsin. We were gonna do it together in 2020, and that all fell apart because of COVID. But he had trained for like a year and a half. He's like, I can't train for another year. I'm gonna do it anyways. So him and one of his friends made their own course up in our hometown and did a full Ironman together
Wow.
on the same day as if they were racing. My mom and his wife got rented a red carpet for them to run down with little flags. It's really cute. They made it a big deal. They had a whole like signs up for them and everything.
God.
Yeah, it was really cool. So, but he never got to do like an official full race because of COVID. So if I could do it with him, that would be really cool.
That
Because
is so
I ran the last half marathon with him of that race.
okay.
So,
I love
yeah.
that.
So that was
That is
fun,
so
but
cool.
I was like really hoping that we would somehow be able to do like an official one together. And I was probably going to finish before him, but I was hoping that I could talk to somebody to wait to give him his medal, but that just never happened because COVID happened.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. It's so cool though
But
that he made it in the course.
yeah, it was still cool that they made a course and they did it. So
That's so
yeah.
cool. Now, these next two questions are is just a piece of information that I collect from everybody, just so I can share it with individuals
Mhm.
in hopes of inspiring them. The first is what I call the motivation library. So, if you could pick one quote, a mantra, or a line that gets you through the tough miles, what would it be?
Gotta think for a second. I would say it's the journey, not the destination. My dad always told me that. We would go on backpacking trips for vacation, and we would all whine about having to hike and do all this stuff. And he'd always be like, it's about the journey, not the destination. And then we'd always get done with it. And we all had these great stories and like amazing views and things that we would never see if we hadn't done these backpacking trips. And so I feel like training's very much the same way of like that finish line and that race is the destination, but it's all about the journey and it's about who you become on that journey and like the change that you saw in yourself, like during it.
I love that quote. That makes complete sense too. And I feel like so many people focus on the destination, especially with the race,
Yeah.
that they forget about everything that they did
Yeah.
to get there.
Yeah.
You have and especially if you have a bad race, you feel terrible. But then if you can look back on everything else that you did, you can
Mhm.
feel, at least accomplished about what you've done because it took a
Right.
lot to get there.
Right.
Now, this song, this doesn't really apply to you, I guess, because you don't listen to music during
I
your.
do every once in a while. It's
Okay,
not like fully nothing, like no
okay.
music, but
So
just not frequently.
let's say magically for the championships in Kona, they say you can wear Shocks headphones and you saw the finish line, the red carpet and you're running up, everybody's cheering for you. What song would you want to play at full volume as you cross that finish line?
Oh, I don't remember who sings it, but it's called Let It Rock.
Hold on, let me look it up real quick.
Okay.
I spelled that wrong.
Adam Levine? Is it Adam? No, not Adam Levine. It's Adam, why am I blanking? Adam Lambert.
Adam Lambert. Okay.
Believe
So
it's
that
Let It Rock by Adam Lambert. I believe that's what
okay.
it is.
All right. I'm assuming
That's
it gets you all pumped up.
Yeah, it does. That one's like, I think that came out in like 20 like late 200s, early like 2010s, and that's right when I was in like middle school, high school time frame. So
I
any
love
of those songs like totally work to pump me up.
it. I'm kind of the same way, so I completely agree with you on that. These last two questions that I have for our interview are questions that I like to ask people because it ties together what this podcast means overall. And they're a little ambiguous, so I want you to just kind of give me the best answer you can. But the first is, what is running giving you that you didn't expect? Or I guess we could say running, we could say Ironmans, triathlons. What is that giving you that you didn't expect when you first started?
Confidence. The confidence in myself, the confidence in what I can do, the confidence that I know I can do more, like the confidence that I can like do these like or let me start that over. The confidence that I can hit times that I dreamed about going are now my training paces. The confidence when I walk into a patient's room and they say you can't lift me because you're a girl. My first thing to combat that is like, have you heard of what an Ironman is? And most of the time, they're like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I've done 4." And they're like, "We're gonna be fine." I'm like, "Exactly. We're gonna be just fine." So, the confidence to do a lot of different things that, like, normally, if I had walked into a room and someone will say that, like, normally I just try to brush it off, but now I've decided to, like, combat that and give them the confidence in me that I'm here to help them and that I can help them and that nothing's going to go wrong. So, yeah, confidence.
I love that. Have you heard of an Ironman? That is the most badass thing I think I could ever hear a physical therapist tell a patient. That
I've
is so
used it
cool.
I've used it a couple times when I've gotten someone who's really fighting me and I'm like, "Have you heard of this?" They're like, "Oh, yeah," or they ask and then I explain. They're like, "Okay, we'll be good." I was like, "Exactly. We're gonna be just fine." It's not the years of training and my degree that qualifies me to do this. It's the Ironmans that
Yeah.
qualify me
You
to
know,
do this.
doesn't matter how many years you went to school, doesn't matter what you learned, the experience you
Yeah,
have, how many years you've been working. It's just how many Ironmans you've done. That's it. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Now, now this question is it's very it's short, but it is ambiguous. And I'm going to put this in the context of Ironmans or just triathlons in general, but why do you do them? Why do you do Ironmans? Why do you do triathlons?
To prove to myself that I'm capable of more than I think I am. I feel like growing up as a female athlete, I was always told, like, "You're good, you're just not quite good enough," or, like, I'd get close and just be like and just not quite hit whatever time or whatever goal I had set. And after graduating college, where I swam and ran in college, I there were a couple things that I left feeling like I just didn't get to accomplish, and continuing to do triathlons and continuing to chase this dream of becoming a professional triathlete that I've wanted to be since I was like 5 years old, and that little girl was delusional enough to think that I could do it and crazy enough to believe in it, that why shouldn't I believe in that and why shouldn't I try for it? And so I think it's just to show myself that I'm capable of more than I think I am, and then inadvertently show other people that you're capable of more than what you think you are. And once you can flip that mentality to like, or that mindset to like, I can do, or I'm capable of this, or even like, just like not blocking that possibility out as soon as the thought comes into your head, like it changes everything.
Accomplishing these types of things just changes everything about your limitations, and what you thought
Yeah,
was that ceiling. You crush it
right,
and it just becomes even
and then you
higher, which
shatter
is
it, yeah,
so crazy.
yeah.
Well, Caitlin, those are actually all the questions I had for you today. I really want to thank you so much for being on the show today, deeper than just race results. I mean, we talked about them, but going through the entire process of the work that you do, both through your training and then through your career and through the platform that you use, you're giving athletes a chance to keep going and to inspire them. And that is exactly the kind of person that I want on the show. So if you are not following Caitlin already, make sure you go find her on Instagram at triathlete underscore Caitlin. That's Kait, my God, Kaitlin.
Yeah.
Follow her, learn from her. And if you've ever wondered about a triathlon, an Ironman, regardless of whatever the distance is, she is one of the best people to watch and to learn from. So, Caitlin, I just really want to thank you for your time and your honesty and for showing up the way that you do for the endurance community.
Well, thank you. I had so much fun
That's
talking.
great. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And everybody listening, I want you to make sure that you listen to your body, you trust the process, and you keep running, biking, swimming, whatever type of endurance sport that you do, and show up at your own pace. And Caitlin, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this episode of At Your Own Pace. If there's one thing I hope you take with you today, it's this: there's no such thing as too slow, too late, or too far behind. This sport belongs to you exactly as you are, wherever you're starting from, at whatever pace you're running. Every mile counts, and so do you. If this episode moved you, made you think, or made you want to lace up, just do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Follow the show, leave a review, and come find me. Mike runs marathons over on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, and Facebook. I'd love to hear your story. If you're interested in being on the show, shoot me a message or an email at mike@mikerunsmarathons.com. But until next time, take care of yourself, be kind to the person running next to you, and keep showing up at your own pace. I'll see you on the road. Bye.